All of you. It's lovely to have you here to celebrate this Simcha. The beautiful flowers in the Onik tonight are sponsored by the Hoffmans in honor of their anniversary. Again, Mazel Tov. Well, as usual at TBO, we've got a very busy week coming up. Tomorrow morning is Shabbat worship and Torah study, which is always good. Always come home learning something. Never too old to learn something. And at 6 o'clock, we're having the Israeli membership event, which RSVPs are closed, but I hope to see a lot of you there. It should be a lot of fun. Israeli food, dancing, can't get better than that. Next weekend, next Friday, is a Sisterhood Shabbat dinner and worship. Worship will be conducted at the same time as dinner, so don't plan on coming late if you're not coming to the dinner. Tonight is the cutoff night for the dinner. So if you have not yet RSVP'd, Donna's right here waiting for you to RSVP. And if you haven't and you plan on coming, it will be a $5 charge. So if you want to come, please see Donna. And then on Sunday the 2nd is the Brotherhood Super Bowl party. So we are very busy. Thank you as always to Rabbi, our wonderful cantor, and to Ray. Ray, I'm going to wish you an early happy birthday because I do birthdays. Happy birthday and Shabbat Shalom.
And Shabbat Shalom, Dena. Thank you very, very much. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good evening and welcome. Let's take this opportunity to make sure our cell phones are switched to the off or the silent position so we might share this time without interruption from the outside world. Shabbat, our Sabbath, is our opportunity for us to pause from our doings, to take a moment to gain our bearings, to set our course. Shabbat is our opportunity to ask, how have we lived during this past week? In what ways can we live even better this week? Shabbat is our opportunity to take count and to consider creation, but not to have plans for that creation. We spend so much of our time doing. We do this, we do that. We even have to-do lists or honey-do lists that we often have to check off. We are not human doings, we are human beings. And seldom do we have time to just be, to be with our thoughts, to reflect on our lives, on what we would like our lives to be. That's what Shabbat offers us. It is an antidote to the hectic pace of the life that we now live in this modern time, where there is constantly some device screaming for our attention, whether it is the bings on our car to remind us to put on our seatbelts, or the ding-dongs on our phone for text messages or emails, or things in our house that are dinging, requiring our attention. We are inundated with so many things that demand of us a response. On Shabbat, we have an opportunity to not to respond. Instead, for us to just be. The difference between grape juice and wine, the difference between matzah, that lovely, flat, unleavened bread we eat on Passover, and the soft, cushy challah that we are about to eat, is only one element. It is the element of time. And during that time, the juice of the grape and the mixture of flour and water appears to be doing absolutely nothing. But inside, lots of things are taking place. Inside those items, the liquid of the juice of the grape and the doughy mixture, there are processes at work that provide and create wine and bread. As human beings, we need that time too. We need time to process our experiences. We need time to think about how we are going to respond to the world, not to react. There is too much reaction taking place in our news and in life around us. As human beings, we have the blessing of free will and the ability to make a choice. But the only way that we can make that choice is if we have had time to process who we are and how we wish to respond. That's something that modern times really don't like. They like us to go out and spend our money in stores. They like us to go out and to constantly do things. Because people who stop to think about their lives begin to look at things that aren't quite right in the world around them and seek to improve those things. That has been what we have done for thousands of years. We have seen areas that need to be addressed, hunger, poverty, homelessness, and we have tried to address that. We have seen injustice and hatred. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bara sason v'simcha chatan v'chala gila rina ditza v'chedva ahava v'achva shalom v'reut mehera Adonai Eloheinu yeshama ba'arei Yehuda u'v'chutzot Yerushalayim kol sason v'kol simcha kol chatan v'kol kala kol metahalot chatanim mechupatam v'na'arim imishtei neginatam baruch atah Adonai mesameach chatan im hakala. And I offer for you, Howard and Friedel, these creative translations of those 7 blessings. Beautiful is the light of humankind, even more beautiful than the light of the stars. Precious are the passages of life, for though they may bring great joy or sorrow, they always present challenge and opportunity. Wondrous is the eternal unfolding of the seasons, which has brought us to this joyous occasion. Blessed is the joy of our gathering. Precious are the capacities and potentials of human beings who can combine love and wisdom and courage to forge a better life for themselves and their loved ones. Blessed are the joys of lovers, gladness and jubilation, pleasure and delight, love and solidarity, friendship and peace. Blessed are the love and support of family and friends and community, for these nourish the love of mates for one another, which in turn enables them to share their unique gifts with the world around them. And indeed, for our 7th and final blessing, precious. Precious are these loving mates. May they find ever-increasing joy as they devote themselves to growing and sharing and helping one another. As we stand here before our Shabbat candles, light symbolic of joy, symbolic of God's presence, symbolic of blessings, we acknowledge the blessings that we have shared. Friedel, I invite you to light our Shabbat candles. It's okay. It's okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu v'mitzvotov v'sivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We praise you, our eternal God, source of all being, who inspires us to deeds of holiness through mitzvot and inspires us to light these Shabbat lights. In addition, at a Jewish wedding, there is often a ketubah, a marriage contract. But you have been married already for 60 years, so we're not about to try to create a new contract for you. You all have figured out how to do it very well, I might add. And so instead, we have for you a certificate that notes Ani ladodi v'dodi li, which we read in Song of Songs, I am my beloved, and my beloved is mine. And true from words of Psalms, Zeh hayom asa Adonai, nagila v'nismechavo. This is the day Adonai has made, a day for us to rejoice and be glad, for it is on this day, 60 years ago, that the two of you were matched together in holy matrimony. And so, Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob, Rachel and Leah, bless Howard and Friedel Hoffman on the occasion of their 60th anniversary. May the love that binds them continue to be strong and lasting. May their hearts be filled with patience and understanding for one another. May their home continue to be a sanctuary built on devotion to each other and to God, presented to you this day, the 28th day of Tevet, the 24th day of January, in the presence of your congregation, Temple Beth Or, signed by myself, our president, and our cantor. And finally, last but not least, Howard and Friedel, there is one final ceremony, and you both have the opportunity to do this. At the conclusion of a Jewish wedding ceremony, there is the breaking of the glass. And the breaking of the glass, the origins are lost to us in antiquity. However, there are many modern and not so modern reasons why our rabbis say it is good to end the wedding ceremony with the breaking of the glass. First of all, it reminds us that this is the first time you get to put your foot down. And when you do, something gets broken. All right? You know, after 60 years, there's no room for ultimatums in a relationship. As well, the breaking of the glass reminds us of that fragility of relationship. It takes work. You know this. We can take lessons from you, 60 years. That's incredible. And so I will present each of you with your own glass. Normally, this is something the guys get to do, so I'm grateful, Friedel, if you are up to it. We're going to present you each with a glass, and at before you do that, we want to share together a blessing for the Shehechianu. This is a marvelous occasion, this very day, to be celebrating with Howard and Friedel their 60th anniversary. And so we express that in our prayer of gratitude, our Shehechianu prayer.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu vekimanu vehigianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu vekimanu vehigianu lazman hazeh.
We praise you, our eternal God, creator of the universe, who has given us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this beautiful occasion. Howard and Friedel, at your leisure, you may smash the glass. Up, 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 up. Try it sideways.
Sideways.
Try it that way.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not super bad about this.
Just step on it. There you go. Mazel tov. You're welcome.
Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, yehelanu. Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov,
Happy anniversary, Howard and Friedel. Our opportunity to do a little bit of a time warp with you this evening and take you back 60 years ago to things that could have been shared. Our service continues on page 9 in our prayer books. As we read responsively. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. And there are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. And there are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. And so we embrace Shabbat, a day of rest, a day of wonder, a day of peace. Our service continues on page 28 with the words of our Baruch Hu. I invite us to rise as we are able for our call to worship. Please be seated. Our service continues on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitfona meshanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, Golel or mipnei choshech, vechoshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimlo chalenu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We continue on the bottom of page 33 as we read responsively. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. Then this holiest of your works and the living language that brings it form. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Disappear. We may be seated.
Our service continues on page 37 as we read together. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gates. They are reminders to do all my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We continue on page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. We read together that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. We continue on page 43 as we read together at the bottom of the page. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. a moment, we will continue with our tefillah, one of the central portions of our worship service. Prayers that's part of our worship service contain some of our oldest prayers written by our rabbis thousands of years ago. In Judaism, prayer is not so much asking God for things or to do things. In Judaism, prayer does not appear like a vending machine, say the right prayer and get the expected results. Rather, in Judaism, prayer is more acknowledging our relationship with God, with the Creator, with the world around us. And at the same time, the words of our prayers are also meant to challenge us. We speak of Abraham and Sarah as our spiritual mother and father. They lived over 4,000 years ago, in a time very much different from our own. And yet they held out hope and faith in a better tomorrow, that through hard work, through good work, better things could be accomplished. We who live 4,000 years later, in extreme comfort compared to Abraham and Sarah, we are challenged by these prayers to ask of ourselves, where is our hope in tomorrow? Have we become so cynical by the news? Have we become so jilted by reality and the harshness that we have given up any hope of making a better tomorrow for ourselves or our children or our grandchildren? And so in Judaism, prayers are more of a motivational aspect. They challenge us and ask us how are we living our lives in regards to the words that we are about to share. We're going to begin this section with words from Psalms, words reminding us, Adonai sefatai tiftach, Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. To bring us into this time of prayer, I shared this thought. A toddler thinks that she cannot walk, but she will. And a child fears that he may never swim, but he will. Many of our limitations in life are more perceived than real. It is only ghosts which are holding us back. In Hebrew, the word for lips, sfatai, that we are about to share, that word is the same word as in the banks, as in a river's bank. The bank of the river sets its course, determines its journey, sets its boundary, and charts its course. And so in a way, when we say in a moment, Adonai sefatai tiftach, Adonai, open my lips, what we are also saying is, O God, Adonai, help me see beyond my perceived limitations. Help me see beyond the boundaries that I have set for myself, so that I might truly be all that you intended me to be. On page 46 and following, I invite us to rise as we are able for the words of our tefillah.
Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah.
Page 50.
Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakolata, Rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem le'emunato lishenei afar Micha mocha ba'al gevurot Umidol melech Melech memit umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emanat l'hachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hakol.
Page 52.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kedoshim b'chol yom yehallelu selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
We continue on the top of page 53. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. O God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. We continue together. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. We continue on page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day, and may all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. And we continue on page 61. It has been the ancient and ageless hope of our people for a time of peace, of shalom, of wholeness, of contentment. Our prophets envisioned such a time and implanted their dreams in our hearts and in our minds, a time when we would sit under our vines and under our fig trees, and none would make us afraid. A time when we would take implements of war and destruction, v'chitatu charavotam le'itim, when we would take our spears and our swords and we would beat them instead into pruning hooks and into plowshares. A time when we as a human family would acknowledge our interdependence and our interrelatedness one with another, regardless of the language we speak, regardless of the color of our skin, regardless of the way in which we speak to God. God's glory is big enough to handle all of our perceptions and understandings. God has spoken for us all in 1,000 tongues, and we throughout the ages have heard that God speak and compel us and command us to till and to tend this world, to make this world a better place, to love your neighbor as yourself, as we read in the book of Leviticus. These verses challenge us continually, especially in this day, especially in the day when nations continue to try to rend each other asunder, a time when people, instead of seeing the commonality that exists amongst all of us, I mean, look here in this house of worship. We come from many different walks of life and from many different faiths. And yet at our hearts is the same. We just want to get through the day. We just want to go home and be with our families. We just want to have food on our table. But instead, our leaders, our politicians, and others choose to exaggerate the differences between us. We are no longer a United States. We are blue states and red states. We are independents. We are the other. Our tradition teaches us we come from a common source. To teach us all that none of us can say, my way is better than yours. My language is better than yours. My belief is better than yours, because we come from a common human being. If we come from a common human being, then nothing can be better. Different, yes. But just as a forest is enriched by the diversity of the trees and the plants, just as our planet is enriched with a diversity of life, so too, in the world of faith, diversity screams out. Shalom is possible. You don't have to be alike. You don't have to think alike. You don't have to look alike to understand that shalom is possible. Our ancient and ageless hope is but a flickering flame these days, and we need to do our part to fan that flickering flame into a bright and shining fire for all to see. Lo yisa goy el goy Erev, v'lo yilmedu od milchama, spoke the prophet Isaiah. Nation shall not take up sword against nation, and never again will they ever have to train for or send their sons and daughters to die in war. We read together on the bottom of page 61. Don't stop after beating the swords into plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating and make musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them to plowshares first. Just as we pray for peace for this very troubled world and all the families that live on it. So too do we want to include those whose sense of shalom, whose sense of wholeness and well-being has been disturbed, perhaps even shattered by the challenges they are facing. The words to our Mishaberach, our prayer for wholeness and healing, can be found on page 253 in our prayer books, in the middle of page 253. And I invite you during the musical interlude between the paragraphs to share aloud the name of a loved one who is in need of just such prayers, one who is facing challenges to their health and their well-being. Thus we might bring them here into this space and into our hearts at this time. May all who are facing such challenges to their health and their well-being be blessed on their journey, a journey that will bring them to a refuah shlema, a return to the wholeness they seek, the shalom that they desire. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. We praise you, O God, who helps us bring hope and healing to those who are in need. And let us say, Amen. Just as Shabbat asks us to pause from our labors and our doing, so too in our worship service do we pause from the reading of the words of the page and singing the melodies that we hear, so that we might instead be able to hear the words of our hearts and the melodies of our souls. To bring us into this time of quietude and reflection, I share this thought. Take time. Take time to listen to the birds, to listen to the waves, to listen to the wind. Take time. Take time to breathe in the air, breathe in the earth, breathe in the ocean. Take time. Take time to be still, and to be silent, so that God might fill you up with deep peace and with deep love. And so we pause. Cantor, as always, and Ray, thank you so very much for the music you bring to our worship services. It is truly a highlight of my week to end the week with those melodies and your voice. Thank you very much. Two dear friends had been friends for, many, many decades. They shared many adventures, many trials and many tribulations. They were the talk of the village. People were grateful for their friendship. Just to look at the two of them together brought joy to everyone's hearts. Sadly, one day, one said something to the other envisioned some perceived slight, and the friendship came crashing to an end. They moped each to their own friends, not only about the loneliness they were feeling, but the pain and the hurt that they felt they had suffered at the hand of their once dear friend. Many friends tried to help assuage them and help them rekindle their friendship, but to no avail. People kept telling them, go and visit with the rabbi. You know, the rabbi's a wise man. Perhaps he might be able to help you rebuild your friendship. You were such good friends for so long. Finally, after some time and with great hesitancy and reluctance, the two friends agreed to meet with the rabbi. They sat in the rabbi's home. The rabbi's wife was doing some cleaning. And the one friend told the story of what happened and what had transpired and what had so broken his heart and destroyed the friendship. The rabbi, hearing the friend, said, well, you're right about that. The other friend said, wait a minute, you haven't heard my side. And the other friend proceeds to tell his side of the story, and also the hurt that he felt and carried with him and how it ended the friendship. The rabbi said, you're right. The rabbi's wife barges in, wait a minute. You said he was right. You said he was right. They both can't be right. And the rabbi said, you're right. We have lost the ability to see the other side. In our national discourse, in our personal relationships, we have lost the ability to understand that the other side has a right too. Their perception, their understanding is right in their mind. And instead of trying to hear the other side, we try to convince the other person of the wrongness of the right that they think they understand. And we get frustrated, and friendships and families are broken. Instead of trying to find out what it is that the other side has seen. Why do they think they are right? In our tradition, we have two great rabbis from our Talmud, Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Shammai, lived in the 1st century BCE. Hillel and Shammai, two diametrically opposed rabbis. Indeed, most of our halakha, most of our Jewish tradition, most of the decisions of the later rabbis followed that of Rabbi Hillel to the tune of like 98%. But whenever Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Shammai, or whenever their students gathered together, they debated and they discussed the points and the salient points in regards to their interpretation of Scripture or their situation, whatever it was they were debating. They debated face to face and to each other. They did not call each other names. They did not resort to any kind of evil mudslinging. No, they debated the facts and agreed to disagree. They agreed to disagree. And so when we look at Jewish tradition, we have a wealth of rabbis who disagree with each other. But our key two rabbis that we go to are Rabbi Hillel and Shammai, because in their debates and in their discussions, they still honored each other. Indeed, Rabbi Hillel would begin by quoting Rabbi Shammai and then go on and express his views. And so a consensus later develops as to how we might want to function, but the minority opinion is always presented. and is always with us. The best example is the hanging of the mezuzah, a little box that we put on the doorpost of our house, inside of which is written on parchment verses from the Torah, where we are commanded to write these words on the doorpost of our house. And so we're fulfilling this mitzvah, this opportunity, by writing it. It's on parchment in Hebrew. We put it on a box on the door. Rabbi Hillel argued that it should be parallel to the door frame, right along, aligned. Actually, no, that would be Shammai. Shammai would have said that. He was a little more linear rabbi. Hillel said, no, it should be perpendicular so that it calls attention. You see it, you notice it there. Perhaps Rabbi Shammai has a little bit of OCD. He would think, oh no, you'd want to fix it and mount it, it's got to be right. And Hillel's going, no, you'll see it. And you'll go, oh yeah, the words, right, exactly. Yes, love God, love your neighbor, got it, right. And so what does Jewish tradition do? The mezuzah is hung on a slant. On a slant. It also teaches us how you turn a house into a home through compromise. Through compromise. At one time, compromise used to be a great word. This country was founded on a compromise. It was a compromise between two competing ideas of how we should structure this new nation. And our founders got together and they compromised. Somewhere along the lines, we lost that. We lost that ability to compromise. And we are paying for it. We are paying for it in so many ways. We are paying for it, and all you have to do is look at the news and you see it. We've got a breakdown in our government for their inability to compromise. We've got a breakdown in family because of their inabilities to compromise. We have breakdowns in individuals and their relationships with others because they're not able to compromise, because we've been told compromise is bad, compromise is evil, you're giving up something. No, you're not giving up anything. You're gaining something. You're gaining something by compromise. You are maintaining the friendship. You are maintaining the relationship. You are functioning. Hillel and Shammai disagreed about everything, yet they approached each other with respect, and they agreed to disagree, and later rabbis found ways to compromise on their teachings. Oh, we need this. We need this so badly. And so let us model it. Let us manage up. Let us teach our elected leaders what it means to compromise. Let us teach our children, in spite of what they see on the news, in spite of what they hear from our leaders, that that is not the way a society functions. A society only functions through compromise. May we have the strength and the courage of Rabbi Hillel and Shammai, who thousands of years ago disagreed about everything, but continue to speak to each other, continue to debate each other, continue to learn from each other, and taught future generations how one can debate and have an argument without denigrating the other individual, without belittling the other individual, without creating animosity. Shabbat Shalom. We move to the conclusion of our worship service with the words of our Aleinu. The adoration can be found on page 282, on the bottom of page 282. And as we turn to page 282, I invite us to rise as we are able.
Adama
Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, those who live on in our hearts and our memories, and in the place we call Olam Haba, the world to come. The words to our Kaddish can be found on page 294. As we call to mind one for whom we are observing the Shloshim, the 30 days since his death, Dwayne Craven, the husband of Sheila Craven. To his name we link the names of those whose yahrzeits, the anniversaries of their death having occurred during this past week: Harry Franz, Molly Goldpaint, Leon Goldpaint, Helen Immer, Estelle Mann, Maurice Schindler, Morris Singer, Max Weinstein, Arlene Hope Kramer, Sarah Dipstra, Edith Richards, Betty Silber, David Diamond, William Diamond, Mary Lee Glick, Ben Zucker, Rose Fox, Ruth Bronstein, Ruth J. Burke, Earl Mark Altman, Harry Eichenbaum, Jeanette Urban, Rose Klein, Rose Travis, and Jacob Hershkowitz. To those names we link the names of those for whom we are observing the Kaddish period: Shirley Grossberg, Shirley Altenew, Muriel Balaban, Nick Scotto, Inga Spiegel, Adrian Casson, Florence Sachs, Cam Craig, Annette Raymond, Irving Drobny, Bernard Beskin, Nancy Zinberg, Howard Brookfield, Eric Lertzman, Sandra Lertzman, Michael Lertzman, Paula Marcus, Don Kessler, Catherine O'Salisbury, George Sachs, Adrian Henschel, Murray Gimbel, Margaret Hershkowitz, Dr. Gerhard Paskus, Jerry Robinson, and Rebecca Lomelli. If there is a loved one whom you are remembering, I invite you to share that name at this time. To those that we have named aloud, and to those that we keep named in the quiet places of our hearts and our memories, we link as well the names and memories of the men and women of our armed forces who have given their lives for our liberties and our freedoms, those who have given their lives for our safety, members of our police, our firefighters, and other first responders, and the members of the Israeli Defense Forces who have given their lives for the hope of peace. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be for a blessing, as we share together the words of our Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach, le'olam ulalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekudasha berichu, le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Vimru, amen. May all of us who mourn and all of us who are bereaved, may we find through God's presence a source of strength, courage, and hope, above all a source of shalom, of peace, and let us all say, amen. We conclude this evening with a prayer for our way, Tefillat Haderech. On page 345 in our prayer books you can find the words, but it'll be a little tricky. I invite you to balance the prayer book while you put your arms around the shoulder of someone next to you, or hold the hands of someone who needs to remain seated. Thus we might create for ourselves a link of blessing for our way. Tefillat Haderech.
May we be blessed as we go on our way. May we be guided in peace. May we be blessed with health and joy. May this be our blessing.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Please join us in the social hall. As you enter the social hall, there is juice and wine. Wine is poured. Juice is available to be poured, but don't drink it yet. We want to share in some special blessings. I know, so we need to make sure we get... Yeah, we get ours. Oh, and test, yeah. It's not... that's weird. We got to have the exorcist again. We want to invite Howard and Friedel. Howard and Friedel Harmon, the newlyweds, need to return to the central table. There's. So, what's the secret of 60 years of marriage? Here's the husband, and there's the wife. She's busy. Come. We have glasses of... right. Well, the smell, I'd smell it, but I'm sure she would be okay with you taking a whiff of that. We'll find it to be juice. Yes, it is. Probably. It is juice. Yes, it's juice. Juice and wine are a symbol of joy and happiness. As we come to the end of our week, we are happy to arrive at Shabbat. We are doubly happy to share this Shabbat with Howard and